Welcome to The Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia. I love dead time.
Yeah,
dead
me
air.
too. Dead air. Sometimes it amplifies.
What's going to be said next?
Yeah.
Mm.
I have a story about dead time. I used to do like acting stuff. I used to go to Austin like I think it was every other week. I had this teacher, and the strangest thing ever. Like, I lived in Athens.
Oh, yeah.
This long story. This old acting teacher was teaching classes in Athens, of all places. Come to find out later, he's been all around the country and stuff. He used to own a theater, and his teacher was like this master actor, really famous acting teacher.
That's cool.
Sanford Meisner. Anyways, it's his
Wow,
whole
way to
technique.
name drop.
Yeah, that's his name. He's dead, long dead.
Oh, okay.
But he was like a direct student of his. So anyways, we ended up hanging out and stuff like that, doing the acting stuff, and I would drive him to, or we would both drive to Austin, and I would drive back at night because he couldn't see very well.
Mm.
And, in exchange, I got like a discount and got to hang out with this acting dude who knew all this stuff. But one of the biggest things we would go, some exercises we would do is like, it would be like one person, another person, and he would give us a scenario. And he would basically like coach us through how to feel different things. And it was really, really fascinating to like experience it because it worked,
Yeah.
But one of the things was like, if you don't have anything to say, don't say it, and have comfort in silence. And that always stuck with me. I was like, oh yeah. So last night I'm editing this movie, and it's this really redemptive scene. And there are just parts to it that I was like, you know what? I think it would be cool if this character doesn't say anything, if they just think about it. And so I would find clips of me or the other guy just like
Thinking.
kind of looking and thinking, and it's dead space. It's dead time, but it works really well. And it like amplifies, because when you're watching it, you're thinking about it too.
Yeah.
And you're anticipating like, I wonder if it's clicking with them now. So maybe that doesn't apply to this as much.
Because people aren't
But sometimes it
staring at
does, though,
anything.
because I edited this last one, and that was the dead time episode.
Oh, yeah.
Did
Did you leave the dead time in there? I haven't gone back and listened to it yet.
I cut a little bit of it out.
Okay.
Not all of it. I left a little bit. There's sometimes it works.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, is it over? What happened?
And if you don't have the patience to wait through 3 to 5 seconds of dead time.
The tension is hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Speaking of tension.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
What
one of the
tension?
main things that causes tension in people's lives?
Man, that is the one thing. I'm glad we hit that, because I feel like that word sums up what we had talked about going into. Is like family dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
And navigating family dynamics with a kingdom perspective.
Yeah.
I think is one of the greatest opportunities that we have before us. Because everybody, I feel that we are all battling not only like generational curses, but just family dynamics, family habits, family mindsets. Like, I do think all of those are curses, or they can be.
Yeah.
But what would you say in terms of family dynamics that you have seen show up in your space that you've had the opportunity to kind of wail on?
Kind of hack on?
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that for you? Like, what does that look like when you started to recognize patterns in your family line, when you started to recognize like, oh, my family kind of does this, and I actually don't want to align with this anymore?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, when I realized these things, and they're real, once you realize, it's like, oh, that's kind of been intertwined with my person this whole time. You can see it in other people. If I've been freed of something, my go-to is when I'm around other family members. What's worked is I talk about it.
Beautiful.
I talk about having it, and then I talk about, and I'm brutally honest when I talk about it. There's a scripture.
Just direct.
Paul says something about, direct, but like I'll really kind of sit on it because they know what it is too.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes clear. I have a really good example of this. I don't want to put anybody on the spot because I like really appreciated them opening back up to me, which is what happened. Very vulnerable. And it went up like we say with the lineage, it doesn't just go down into your children and your children's children. Like when you become whole and like Jesus is the king in your life, it goes back up.
Totally.
The genealogy.
So sometimes that looks like talking or even redeeming like your parents and your grandparents. And if your great grandparents are still around, like actually being able to speak into some of that.
Yeah. And if you've become whole in that space, they can too. It's just available. It goes both ways. So I think that's my experience and my strategy, unless some other situation comes up and I have to go about it differently. But that's mine, is I'll just talk about it and explain what happened, Yeah. And it usually triggers like, oh. And I'll talk about the family tree thing too. Like it goes both ways. I'll say that. And it does. And I've seen it happen. What about you?
Two things. One, I really pray for my family.
Yeah.
Like, especially when I can recognize like, yo, that definitely came in through this.
Yeah.
That came in through observing. Right. So this just happened to me. I kind of had this realization because I was kind of writing down the good things that I'd gotten from my dad and the good things that I'd gotten from my mom and like actually finding the value there. Because I think even if there's tension, right, or even if there's not and there's just family like coping mechanisms, like you can extract the things that you're like, oh, I actually see God in that. Like one of the things that I so value about my mom is that she actually has a true heart of hospitality. She will go above and beyond to actually help somebody.
Yeah.
There's especially like her and my stepdad, like the door is wide open for people. I mean, you could be the craziest misfit and they are like, please come in. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know. My stepdad, he like invited this random kid because he used to be a high school shop teacher and now he builds houses, but he like invited this guy to live with him and stay with him, this student.
Wow.
Because he like didn't have any space. And so he like basically adopted this kid, but didn't really tell anybody. And so there's just like this open door that they just love to have. Right. Which I think is so pure. But then on the flip side of it, and that I realized within myself was there is a place of trying to get your needs met in that. Yeah. Of like, you're not okay unless you are over giving of yourself. You always say yes. You have a hard time saying no to things and like validations and like all these things it's almost like the perverted version of a true heart of hospitality. Yeah. Like pain gets filtered through that. And so when I started to divide that, I was like, oh yeah, I can see that where that thing came in, but I also see the real over here. Yeah. So one of the things was praying for them, but then also looking for opportunities to speak into the goodness of it. Yeah. To like actually edify the reality of like, hey, you actually carry a true heart of hospitality. Yeah. And I've seen that be wildly, it softens. Yeah. When you also kind of address like, hey, sometimes this doesn't feel healthy. But when you affirm what is true, it's like, I've seen it. It's like, it helps kind of even separate that divide. Yeah. Anyways, that's been interesting, in terms of family dynamics. But then, for a long time with my own mom, I didn't have space and I wasn't whole to speak into that. Yeah. And I think that especially in the tension, you have to evaluate, where are you? Like, are you tender into this situation, or do you get, like, are you emotionally charged by the situation? And if you are emotionally charged, I don't think that you can stay in love. Because love always has peace.
That's true.
And so I think one of the greatest things is like, hey, do I carry any shame about this?
Yeah.
Do I feel emotional? Like if I have this thought, do I have any kind of emotion? Is there, just some family stuff? It's like, do I feel really mad? And if I think about what my family might have done to me, or do I feel shame? Do I want to run away from them?
Yeah.
If all of those things are kind of popping up, it's like, okay, well, deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can you are addressing the generational stuff as you
dealing with that. Yeah. That's true. Very true.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I could share my family story that involves today, what I have to do today. But
in
also
the
midst, but also going back to the other things, like what I was talking about, like, and even like you were saying about affirming the good things. It's what's cool about it is just you can kind of see it as a picture. It's almost like, hey, look at this dragon's head that I chopped off, and it's like it's almost like this is available to you too. But I think there's also forgiveness. I think that's another weapon in these situations, and seeing them. Because I've had specific family members I've had to really like, God, show me. And it was they just don't know what they're doing. They just legitimately do not know.
Yeah.
Some of the most intense ones. So there's that aspect of it. And then you love them. You have compassion for them when you can see that they don't know. And it's like, man, you're a child.
Yeah.
And this thing got you, or, but so there's compassion in that and love. But yeah, my situation right now, and I've had so many dreams about this particular one, the family line, being addiction. And it was resembled, or it was, what is that term I'm looking for? This family lineage, what it looked like in the dream was like this dirty motel with needles everywhere. It was addiction. And I saw the lineage. I saw specific family members, and it was like almost like each generation of it, or each person, there was a different phase of this spirit. So like one member would be like hooked up, just needles. Oh, there it is. Needles in the arm, overdosed. The other one's thinking about it. The one after that's like, this is weird. And I was in the middle of this hallway looking at it, like being able to see it all. And it was old. There were rooms of family members in this thing. Anyways, I don't want to say any names right now.
That's not important.
It's not. But I've had one situation, and probably talked about it on here. And we had an argument. I would call it a disagreement more than an argument, a disagreement about some things, and it was not going anywhere. It was going to turn into a really poisonous debate that ended with just exhaustion. That's a trap I've had to learn how to navigate. And so this stuff happened. It ended up being just really intense, and like somebody wanting to just really impress all these things on me, my family, and everybody. And not holding back, like just really, anyways, it was very kind of harassing. That's the best word you can describe for it. Anyways, I had the ability to not care. I can completely go cold. I don't even have to see you again for the rest of my life, and I will be okay. That kind of thing. Well, over time, and more recently, I've been seeing this individual family member just kind of sitting on like who they are and like the times we used to have, the fun times and things like that, and who this person really is. And I felt, I was feeling the hints of like, man, I just really love this person. I do love this person very much. And I was talking to Christopher the other day, and he said, I was telling him about the situation, and as I was talking to him, this person texted me, and I told him, I said, I've been feeling just the love for this person. He said, yeah, he said, you should honor that person. Just honor who they actually are, not the spirit that's operating through them and all this projection and stuff like that. Like, honor the person. And it felt right, and I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that's and even for their sake, like, think about them, not you, James. Think about this person and where they're at, And anyways, that night I had a dream where another family member of mine, used to back in the day, if there were any stray animals or anything like that, this person would shoot this. If it was a sick animal or something like that, this person would shoot it. It's like, oh, this is tough to do, but I need to do it. Anyways, in this dream, this situation played out. And when I woke up, it instantly felt like my ability to be cold and call it necessity.
Yeah.
And,
or even you could, not you, but you can, some people will say, well, that's love.
Yes, exactly. And that was what it was. It was justified coldness, you know?
Yeah.
And also, yeah. So anyways, that happened, and I saw that the victim of that dream as this this family member I'm dealing with right now as a child. And I was like, man, that's what it is. So anyways, today I'm going to meet with this family member for the first time in a long time.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
So see what happens.
Yeah.
But the reason, and you know, I think enough time has passed by too, because early on there was no, like in that area, in that zone, there was no yield in this person whatsoever. And it's like, man, I can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
And it's the ball's in their court. So, and that was early on. That was kind of,
that's like
a difficult one.
But that's like the tension of the dead space.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you stay true to you.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable in this silence.
Yeah.
Because the ball is in their court. Yeah. And then they can respond accordingly.
Right.
You are steady in all the things. Your heart is never cold.
Yeah.
But allowing the dead space to be there if it so needs to be.
Sure.
That's brilliant though.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just like processing these concepts of like
being okay with the dead space.
Yes.
Is that was yes, that's a key that was to be had in that too.
Because if you think about it, the Lord was okay with a lot of that dead space.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Like how long did it take him to show up on the earth to take back the keys?
Oh yeah.
Like he was constantly probing and talking, and like his voice never went away. But why do you think it took him so long to show up on the scene?
Yeah. Right. The timing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think timing is valuable.
It is.
Like things have to be processed. Things have to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just even generationals. Think about that.
Definitely.
Like Joshua and Caleb. Like that generation actually had to pass away. There was something about the timeline of those 40 years of like, hey, unbelief has to pass through.
Yeah.
There's a timeline where.
There is. Well, and in the situations too, where the ball's in somebody else's court, I think that's a lot of times that's the growth, the step that unlocks everything is for you to be good.
Yeah.
Regardless.
No matter what. I think it's even like, I've seen this in my own life. I've seen this in so many different scenarios, but especially when it's the people that you are the closest with. Like, I think sometimes with even like parents or siblings or like, it's like, oh yeah, they're just friggin' being them. Like, there's almost this ability to kind of dismiss of just, well, that's just them. Or even your spouse, right? I think your spouse is one of the most beautiful moments that you have that I think we can use at all times for refinement. Yeah. Is like, you have to be around that mother sucker every day. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I love my husband. Yeah. But it's like there's so much that you can practice of like, hey, if they're not getting it yet, if you see something that they don't see yet, stay in the dead space. Like rest in that. Like it's okay and have hope. Anchor your hope into the Lord of like, hey, that thing they're going to see and they'll see eventually. Yeah. And not see my perspective, but I think see the reality of Jesus in it. Because I think that's what this whole war is about. It is seeing the reality of Jesus. Yeah. You know, I'll probably talk about that thing that message Daniel did for a long time, but that turf war one. I'm just like, that's the turf war. Yeah. See Jesus. Yeah. You know, and not. Anyways, not another fallen addiction. Yeah. Coping mechanism. That's right. Side note. Yeah. I didn't know you had that dream. I knew you had that dream. I didn't know it was in a dirty motel.
The old lineage dream was in a dirty motel, yeah.
I literally have had the same dream about my family lineage. in a dirty hotel.
I remember that.
I did not know that. I hadn't connected that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was addressing certain things in this dirty hotel with my family. It was my dad's side.
Interesting. Yeah. You have any dreams of motels? It's your family lineage.
I'm not making absolutes, but yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
that is interesting.
That's just weird. I hadn't put that together until you said that. I was like, oh yeah, I remember mine.
That's funny. So what does your family's motel look like?
Nasty, dude. Yeah. I was like grossed out that people could even think about being in that place. I was like, this is the grossest thing. There was like black mold. There was...
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, have you ever seen a horror movie?
Of course.
Like the dirty motel? Oh, yeah. It's like worse than that in that dream I had.
Yeah.
It was like those nasty lights, those...
Uh-huh. That's how this one was too. It's like needles everywhere. If you're not walking down the middle of this hallway, but there was an exit. Definitely was an exit, and we were passing through. It wasn't no staying.
I was actually trying to get everybody out of the hotel.
Yeah.
Nobody would let me stay.
Yeah, that's what we were doing, and we were convincing this person, like, hey, don't stick that thing in your arm. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Interesting.
But instead, like, they were like, no, we have to stay the night. And I was like, well, if I have to stay the night, if I have to be here for a period of time, I'm staying in the king bed. That's what I said.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
But then the next morning I got up and I rolled out.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. It's redeemable, and it doesn't, it's cool. It doesn't come with impressing it on other people. It just comes with walking out the wholeness, the freedom.
And this is what I think is beautiful. I'm hopefully, well, I don't think this will expose my husband, but he has had a really cool experience recently where he is getting to address some family stuff and some family dynamics.
Yeah.
And I think it's so beautiful because he really kind of went more or less at the jugular of something, kind of like what you did. You know, when you have the ability to speak into something, he took the opportunity. And it was so sweet, and his heart was so tender in it, and he like actually connected. And he told me, he was like, man, when I was sharing, I could feel so much love like I've never felt before.
Yeah.
And just like that compassion. And anyways, but then his mind kind of took over, like, you just basically, you crap the bed and you're going to be rejected now. And, you know, it was just all this accusation of, like, don't stir the bee's nest, basically, you know? And then that very night, he had a dream that his grandfather, from the very lineage that he was addressing, his grandfather came to him. And like, he woke up to him standing over his bed, smiling at him.
That's cool.
And he was like, that was it. He was like, I knew it was like, well done. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And he was like, it gave me so much more courage. It's like that heaven is actually backing me on this one.
Yep.
Being able to go after it. And it like dismantled all the thoughts. And I mean, to me, that is just...
Yeah, that's amazing. That is the war.
It is.
Yeah,
but
that's so cool.
What I think is so sweet about the Lord, and this is like the love of God, is like, hey, I will reinforce what is actually of heaven.
Yeah.
And if, you know, like, he gave him confirmation, like, yo, this is it. You did it. Like, good job. To me, it was just... Because it's not about going after the people. It's going after the curse that's sitting on people. It's going after the very lies and strongholds and coping mechanisms that hold people back, that keep them going around the mountain, that keep things cyclical.
Yeah.
And I can feel that in my own person. Like, my passion is to freaking set the captives free.
Yes.
Like, let them go. Let them fly.
Yeah.
Let there be nothing of the old way, the old order.
Yeah.
You know, I thought this was interesting. I read this, I think this was, 2 days ago, in Zechariah. Because that there's something there for me, but I thought this was interesting. He's talking about the flying scroll, right? Zechariah is just a wild book. But So he's talking to some angels, and he was like, hey, what do you see? And so Zechariah answered, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits, and its width is 10 cubits. And he said to me, this is the curse that goes out over the face of the whole earth. Every thief shall be expelled, according to this side of the scroll, and every purger shall be expelled, according to that side of it. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, that is our mandate.
Yeah.
Like the flying scroll to me is like the flying word of the Lord, like the prophetic word of the Lord, you know, the eagles mounted up on wings like eagles. Like carrying out the word of the Lord is to expel the things that are stealing from people, that are robbing them, that are literally trying to purge their very life essence. Yeah. Like these are the things that we have full permission to curse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not the people. It is not even our family line, because there is so much good in our family lines. Yeah. Everybody's.
Yeah.
But by God, if there is something there that is stealing, you have every right to capture it.
Yeah.
Grab it by its throat.
Yep. That's true.
It like that thing fired me up. I was just like, whoa.
And even thinking about Zach's situation, the people who are on the other side of the tracks now too, it's almost like it still redeems even the stuff that they were that they hadn't unlocked yet.
Yeah.
And it honors them, and it's like they get to participate in it through us, which is that not incredible?
Isn't that the scripture that like it's not, nothing is perfected? Like basically I gotta find that.
Yeah, find it.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Basically, like it's not completed.
Yeah.
Like they don't receive the full inheritance until we.
Yeah, walk it out.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta find that one. I should have ChatGPT'd it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. ChatGPT just lost points for me.
Really?
Well, yeah, they quoted wrong things about the Bible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, blatantly wrong. So how do you get that one?
For real. 7 days of creation are not hard, man.
Yeah.
Man. No, so I finally found the scripture, but it's in Hebrews 11, right? It's saying at the very end, it says, all these having obtained a good testimony through faith did not receive the promise. God having provided something better for us, that they should not be made perfect apart from us.
Yeah.
To me, that makes me just think of all the generations.
Yeah.
Like, things are being made perfect as the generations are stepping in. And yeah, it was talking about like, you know, Jesus and you know, those they were not made perfected except through him. But also I think there's something about us walking in the fullness as well. Yeah. That causes a greater testimony to be had. Like, I don't think it just stopped with Peter and Paul and them. Like, there's so much more that people are just not, nothing is perfected. Like, the wholeness is not complete unless we're all playing our role. Yeah. But anyways, that was the point of that.
Oh, that's cool. And he's the key to it. It's like as far as you're willing to go with him, that stuff is
Have you ever thought about
targeted.
That? Like that scripture, I think it's brilliant, but Ephesians 5:1, like, one of my favorite things to do is like meditate on a very small thing of scripture. Yeah. Like, so Ephesians 5:1, it says, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children.
Yeah.
Like, if you just, and then the very next statement is, and walk in love. Just as Christ also loved you and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice of God as a fragrant aroma. To me, instantly, it was like, when you're an imitator of God, like, what does that look like as a beloved child? Like, fully immersed in love. Only then can you be an imitator. Yeah. Like, you have to be a beloved child to imitate him. Yeah. You have to know you're loved. You have to, not just intellectually, but you have to feel it. It has to resonate within your body. You have to have a coherent mind. Like, everything has to be clicked of like, hey, you're not separated from him. Yeah. Hey, you don't have anything to prove to him. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, When you hear that phrase, therefore be imitators of God, what do you imagine in that? Like if you were to sit on that,
Mm-hmm.
what was the first picture you saw?
I mean, I just saw him walking around, the things that he did. I mean, unbound. But it's love. I mean, it's pure love without any strings attached to this world, without any even thoughts of yourself, even.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a big one. I mean, it's all of it. It's everything that he is. That's all I can think of.
I instantly thought of people who are overabundant, extraordinarily happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like every time they walk into a room, they kind of light up the room.
Yeah.
Of just like, hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just happy to be around. Like,
yeah, that's it.
Those people that when they walk into a room, you're just like, golly.
Yeah. Where did you come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was having a bad day and you just made it better.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's instantly what I felt was like, to be an imitator, that's what it is to be a beloved child.
Yeah.
Is like, kids are carefree.
Yeah.
They don't give a flying rip.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, they just want, this is what I think is brilliant too about a child, is that all they want is the attention of their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they want to play, but they also just want to be like, hey, we good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also what it is to be an imitator of God.
They just want to spend time with us.
Yeah. But to be an imitator is like, Jesus was he was at one with his Father.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that's the key to unlocking limitless joy.
Yeah.
Limitless peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like where it doesn't come in waves, or you have good days and bad days, or you have good mornings and then bad mornings, or that was a tough morning. Like,
yeah.
I think there's an element of just like resting and being with him.
Yeah.
That opens up every pathway to every emotion that you're wanting to experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
At all times.
That's it.
But
yeah.
But I think that's the key too to unlocking the walking in love
mm-hmm.
is when you let him love you as a kid.
Yeah.
Like you have to bring in, and I think that
you've got to feel that.
You have to feel it. You have to experience it. You have to ask him, hey, will you let me feel your love?
Yeah. That's what changes you.
Yeah. Because otherwise it's intellectual knowledge.
Yeah. Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've seen like this picture that he is like eager at the door, like that scripture in Revelation, like I stand at the door and knock.
Yeah.
Like I, for the longest time, used to imagine that like gentle Jesus, just like, come on, let me in.
Uh-huh.
I saw it in a brand new light. He's actually banging on the door.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's like this excitement, like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like this fervor, this excitement, this zeal of like, yo, I want to be with you. I want to connect to you.
Yeah.
I want you to know how much I love you.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it was just it's a flip of the script that he's not sad Jesus.
Yeah.
Or like, that flipping scripture too. Not scripture, but people always make these statements.
Yeah.
Have you seen, a side note, have you seen on Instagram where they're like things that God didn't say, but that everybody thinks that God said?
No. What's an example?
Oh man, I'm going to have to find it.
Pull it up.
It was weird, but yeah, it was really weird. But one of my thoughts was that, Jesus is a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah. Well, just the way he's portrayed and everything too is just.
Well, it kind of makes some of those things make me feel like they dismiss the passionate love that has consumed him for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's a missing element for so many people is how passionate, ferocious he really is, and not in a negative way, but in a
love way. Yeah.
Like a burning desire.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's why I can't watch any of the shows. That's why I can't watch The Chosen.
Really?
Yeah.
He's too gentle for you there?
He's too gentle and he's too Yeah. That's a massive part of it. Sure, it's great, but
I feel like that's one of the beautiful things that you can connect to if you so choose to.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes me think of like when anybody, right? Because I think everybody in the world is searching and longing for connection.
Yeah.
Period. They want to feel seen. They want to feel known. They want to feel heard.
Yeah.
And I think one of the beautiful things is asking the Lord, what actually activates me in love? Like, how do I want to be loved?
Yeah.
Because I don't think many people know how they truly desire to be loved.
Uh-huh.
You know, like, and then ask him to do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, show me really what's going on within the deepest parts of me. How do I want to be loved? How do I need to be loved?
Yeah.
And then look for those ways of how he actually extends it then.
Yeah.
And like, put your faith on that he's going to showcase his love for you.
Yeah.
You know, one of my things is, you know, just this whole year, the Lord has really hit on the mindset that I feel neglected by him.
Yeah.
That like everybody else is going to get a lot of good things and I'm going to get the scraps. And with everything that has transpired, even though when my car got stolen and all of that, I got to confront and feel those emotions of like, yo, I really feel neglected here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you didn't have my back, dude.
Yeah.
But then to see how he aligned everything else out of it. Like Zach and I were talking about this yesterday or the day before. I love where we live now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in an RV, which most people are like, whoa, you're living in an RV. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking living in an RV.
No, I think it's cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love where we're at. We have had more people come over recently to just hang out because we have these massive bonfires that they just like, I get lit from it.
Yeah.
And it's like, had I not chosen to walk through that and then ask the Lord, like, hey, will you show me how you really love me? Because I know that this neglect isn't real.
Yeah.
Even though I feel it in my body.
Yep.
I know that that's a pain. I know that that's an old childhood wound. Like, I recognize those things. But then to see him pull through like this, it's just like, oh, of course, dude.
Yeah.
How could I? And it's not about the things. It's about the process of which he showed me and walked me through these things. To then it was almost like that was just the result of me allowing myself to be loved by him. That was the manifestation, if you will. But
yeah, it's cool.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's one of those things, you attach your belief to what he tells you about yourself. That's what I do. Like when I feel like, you know, whatever. He's given me the green light to be messy and to be confident and to just do whatever, you know. He's just the freedom of it. I know what he made me for in a lot of areas. And so I feel like he's just he's healed my heart. And so I'm confident in what he's done in my life and who he is, and he's always with me and stuff. So when he tells me something, like I'm like, well, I'm going to choose to believe that and I'm going to live that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the external circumstances pop up.
And I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to have fun doing it. Mm-hmm. He's the biggest factor of like fun and like freedom in my life, like period.
You know what I just had the thought of? What if people actually started reading like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John with the lens that Jesus had fun everywhere he went?
Yeah. Yeah. We need to.
Yeah. Like I just thought of like, you know, what if he like rolled up at the water of the well, or you know, like met the woman at like in John 4.
Yeah,
and you see him and he's like, hey, and then he like reaches down and he like throws water on her.
Yeah,
and like kind of is like joking with her a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
and just we've talked about this before. Imagine the way that he just walked. Imagine the way that he interacted with creation, just walked around in it. Imagine that.
Yeah, man. He breathed it.
Yeah.
He was like, that's my breath molecule.
Yeah.
And they all know it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just walking into a space of people and like I don't know, that's got to be just incredible.
And what was the energy that people felt? You know?
Yeah.
Was there a buzz? Were people like, you know, that giddy excited that kids have right before Christmas?
Oh yeah.
Did people randomly feel that as they?
Yeah.
Like they're like, ooh, what? I'm so excited today. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah.
And little did they know that he had just walked past them.
Yeah. Yeah. For
you
sure.
know, just in the markets and in the temple and like what that looked like.
It's really fun.
It is fun. And Mary, you know, like she's a flippin' champ, dude.
Yeah.
To have him for so long. I mean, literally, it was like 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years he was kept under wraps.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of popped up when he was like 12 or whatever.
I wonder how much she changed. I wonder how much she changed over that course of time.
Yeah.
You know?
Constantly being around him. And I wonder what their relationship looked like.
Yeah.
Like their real, like, behind the scenes.
Yep. Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, how much did she was like, hey.
Yeah, you don't change being with him for 30 years. I mean, you don't change lightly.
No.
Like there's some drastic change there. Yeah.
I wonder if she knew.
I'm sure she figured it out. I think she did.
You think she figured it out that he was going to have to go to the cross before he went to the cross? I mean, she was his mother.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, I heard this once and it resonated so deep with me. She was the first one. Like the new creation.
Yeah.
She was the binding of the true sons of God. Again, on the earth.
Yeah.
The flesh.
Yeah.
She basically was like the first Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Like the second, you know, like the second Eve. Because she was the embodiment.
Yeah.
She actually had the Spirit of the Lord within her.
And yeah.
You know,
that's
like
crazy. Yeah.
It's so freaking cute. I love it.
Yep.
You know what I think too is so sweet about the mother of Jesus? Right? Like, she was like in the midst of that wedding. Like, she was the one that recognized that they had no wine.
Yeah.
And to me, like, if you kind of go on that trail of she is the first one that embodied the Spirit of God, right?
Yeah.
So she already had that level of connection.
Yeah.
She recognized that they actually needed the blood there.
To fill those pots with the wine. Yeah.
Yeah. But she recognized like, yo, this space actually needs you.
Yeah. Wow.
And I feel like that's a part of us is like, we can walk into any situation and be like, they need wine here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Lord, what do you want to do with this? Like,
yeah.
Because she was like in the midst of it. To me, it's like the perfect embodiment of what it is to have the heaven perspective.
Yeah, it is.
Like, yo, they need something happening here.
Yeah.
And then she connects to him. Then he makes it happen.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. I mean, you can get into the whole thing about like the prophetic symbolism of filling the water and moving it into wine. But
that whole situation seems like a really fun situation too.
Yeah.
Connection. It's a wedding.
What if she is like laughing really hard and she's like, Jesus, they ain't got no wine.
It's a wild wedding. Yeah.
And he's over here like, woman, what's that got to do with me?
Yeah.
What you doing about that? You know, like.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And yeah.
What if there's laughter behind it? What if there's like.
Yeah. I think that's the point of reading it through him with love.
Yeah.
With the lens of love and not words, you know? Not simply words, like his spirit.
Yeah.
It opens it up.
Well, it's like the kingdom of heaven is righteousness, peace, and joy.
Yeah.
Which righteousness is literally just being in alignment with him, AKA it's heaven's perspective.
Yeah.
And you have to filter it with peace and joy. So the Bible itself should be read through peace and joy.
Yeah.
The lens of love, because love is peace and joy, you know?
Yeah.
The fruit of the Spirit's not a coconut.
Is that a song?
Oh my gosh, yes. Somebody out there is going to catch that.
Okay. Went over my head. I'm going to YouTube it.
You should. It's a kid's song.
Okay.
It talks about the fruit of the Spirit. It's not a coconut. It's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
What is it from?
I don't know. It's like a little kid's bop.
Okay.
I'll play it.
That's okay. I believe you.
Fine.
It would get copyrighted. That's why we can't play it on here. They'd flag the episode.
Dude, I've gotten so much of my social media flagged lately.
Have you?
Yes.
What have you been talking about?
Well, native stuff.
Oh.
Really? Oh, yeah. I'd be putting stuff about like frequencies and light. And
they flag you on that?
Oh, my gosh. I can't tell you how often Facebook has told me probably like 5 times that they're going to disable our account.
Wow.
And then TikTok took down all of our videos. And then Instagram blocked my ad.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, it's
TikTok.
I don't know.
Some wild stuff on there.
We've got young kids or like young adults that are running it. I don't understand any of it.
Okay.
So, yeah. They're like putting things together and I'll be like, hey, will you add this part? And then it gets flagged.
That's
for
what
that
gets
part.
flagged? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
But.
All
right, guys. Well, that's a good challenge, right?
Yeah.
Go read the Bible through the lens of
love. Yeah. See Jesus is fun.
Mm-hmm. See Jesus is fun. I feel like that if you like dedicated yourself to do that, like every day.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like in 7 days, your whole life would flip.
I think it would too.
You look for fun.
It would really eliminate a lot of things that don't belong, I think.
Like pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
And striving and stuff. But
Good.
All right. Guys, we'll see y'all next time.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you would like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. And everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.